Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Road to Hajj, a brief overview of Hajj rituals and an exploration into the meanings and mysteries behind those rituals. But tonight, we're not going to be talking about any particular ritual of Hajj. We're going to be talking about an important incident that happened in the last night of Hajj, 1447 years ago. This incident is the impetus that made Hijrah possible, Hijrah to Medina. And as we know, Hijrah is one of the most, if not the most important incident in Islamic history, so much so that the Sahaba agreed to mark the Hijrah as year one in the Islamic calendar. So this is the year before Hijrah. But to understand that incident, the 13th of Dhul Hijjah, on the 13th year of prophethood, 13 years of da'wah before migration. So to understand what happened on that night, on the 13th of Dhul Hijjah, 13th year of prophethood, we will go back 2 years in time to the nights of Mina. The nights of Mina will be the 11th, 12th, and 13th of Dhul Hijjah. These are the nights where the Hujjaj will spend their time in Mina, sleep at Mina. Until today, Hujjaj would observe that as part of the rituals of Hajj. So, in the 11th year of prophethood, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like every year of Hajj since the past 11 years, since the beginning of the Islamic da'wah, he would go and spread Islam to Hujjaj that come and visit Makkah to perform Hajj. Because during the period of Hajj, Arabs from all over Arabia would come to Makkah to perform Hajj. And the Prophet would take this opportunity to go and speak to the different tribes about Islam. Now, this particular year is different. This particular year, the Prophet wasn't only looking for opportunities to do da'wah. He was also looking for a tribe that would adopt him. Because the previous year, the 10th year of prophethood, his uncle Abu Talib passed away. Abu Talib, being the chief of Banu Hashim, the Prophet's tribe, he protected the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that gave the Prophet a sense of security to do da'wah in Mecca. There were physical violence against the Prophet, but not as bad compared to those who did not belong to any particular tribe from the Quraysh. So you see like the torture that Bilal went through, or like Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, or Sumayyah. So people that do not belong to a tribe, there is no one protecting them. The Quraysh is free to do anything to them. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam had Abu Talib to protect him. There was some physical violence, but not much. Abu Talib passed away on the 10th year of prophethood. The leader after Abu Talib was Abu Lahab. Of course, Abu Lahab wouldn't want to protect the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So now the Prophet is left without a protector. He had to go to Ta'if to seek refuge there, hoping that the people in Ta'if would welcome him. People in Ta'if rejected him. He came back to Mecca under the protection of Mut'im ibn Adi. And he understood that Mut'im, being not from his tribe, not from his blood, and remained and was one of the leaders in Mecca, he was under pressure from the Quraysh to stop protecting the Prophet. So the Prophet understood that that was only a short-term solution. He needed a long-term solution. So he went to other tribes. He started with the bigger tribes like Banu Kindah, a very powerful tribe that just recently, in that time, at the time of the Prophet in the 11th year, they just recently lost it was just coming down from the height of their power. So Banu Kindah saw Islam as an opportunity to come back to power. So they asked the Prophet, if we adopt you, would you appoint us as leaders after you passed away? So the Prophet understood that their conversion to Islam would not be sincere. They only wanted power. And the Prophet said, no, Allah decides who He wants to give His power to. So he was going from tribe to tribe doing da'wah and looking for a tribe that would want to adopt him, extend protection, that he could migrate to that land. Um, when he couldn't find any tribe, he was walking in Mina, and he saw a small group of people, just 6 people. And he asked those 6 people, Manil Qawm, who are you? Which tribe are you from? So these 6 people said, we are the Khazraj. And the Prophet asked, Khazraj? Which Khazraj is this? Is this the neighbors of the Jews? And the Khazraj said, yes, we are from Yathrib. The Prophet ﷺ preached Islam to these 6 people, and with the same passion like he did da'wah to Kinda and the other bigger tribes. Khazraj, being from Yathrib, this is the old name before Medina, they are exposed to the concept of revelation because they've been living for hundreds of years with the Jews, so they understood the concept of prophets, messengers, divine revelation, scriptures, and so on. And because they've been having a civil war in Yathrib between the 2 main Arab tribes, Aus and Khazraj, they've been having this war for such a long time that most of the senior leaders were killed in the battle. So they were looking for someone to unite them. And the idea of Islam and Prophet Muhammad leading them intrigued these 6 people. But the 6 people did not make any decision at that time. They said that, give us some time, we'll meet you again next year. So this will be the 12th year during Hajj at Mina. We'll meet here again next year. So the 6 went back and started talking to their friends and families about Islam and their encounter with Prophet Muhammad. The following year, 12 people came to meet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam at Mina. These 12 people, most of them were Khazraj, some of them were Aus. And they came to accept Islam and pledge their allegiance to Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the meeting happened in these nights, either the 11th, 12th, or 13th of Dhul Hijjah. They pledged their allegiance to the Prophet, and the allegiance is just a religious allegiance because they pledged to not commit shirk, to obey the Prophet and everything that is good, to not steal, not commit fornication, to not murder, to not steal, and so on. This is known as Bay'atul Aqabah, the first. So why is it called Bay'atul Aqabah? Because it took place just very close, adjacent to Jamratul Aqabah. This is where the tents used to be. Today you don't find tents because they're making way for people to walk, the Hujjaj to walk. But this used to be where the tents of Hajj were. So it's called Bay'atul Aqabah, number 1, the first Bay'atul Aqabah. The 12th then asked that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would send one teacher to teach them about Islam, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam chose a young man from Mecca by the name of Sayyidina Mus'ab ibn Umair. So Mus'ab ibn Umair went to Medina, went back to Yathrib with this group of 12 people, and start teaching Islam and making da'wah. The following year, the 13th year, they came back. This time, 75 people came to accept Islam and pledge their allegiance to Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it happened on the 13th night of the Dhul Hijjah, 13th year of prophethood. This time they met when everybody else was already asleep. So they met with the Prophet, and they invited the Prophet to migrate with them to Medina, to Yathrib. And they said that it is unbecoming that we live in safety in Medina while our Prophet is being persecuted in Mecca. Why don't you join us and migrate? Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if you want me to migrate to you, then the allegiance would have to be not just a theological allegiance. It's not just about being good and believing in Allah and so on. There must be a political allegiance as well. And they then pledged their allegiance. Apart from the content of the first Bay'atul Aqabah, they also added a clause where they're going to defend the Prophet like they defend their own family. Before they concluded with this allegiance, some of the Ansar, one of the 75, asked, Ya Rasulullah, when Islam is successful, what is going to happen to us? Are you going to leave us and come back to Makkah? And Rasulullah said, no, your blood is my blood, your destruction is my destruction. We are one. So hearing that, the companions, the Ansar, they were not Ansar yet, but soon they will be named Ansar. There's Muslims from Yathrib, 75 of them, one by one pledged their allegiance to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it is narrated that from that valley of Aqabah, people could hear a loud scream, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that is the voice of Iblis. He is disappointed that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam found a way out from the oppression in Makkah. So after Bay'atul Aqabah, this is the second Bay'atul Aqabah. After the second Bay'atul Aqabah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam started advising the companions to migrate to Yathrib one after the other, and the Muslims started to migrate, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was one of the last to migrate. He migrated the following year, because this is Dhul Hijjah. After Dhul Hijjah is Muharram, Safar, Rabiul Awwal. So he migrated at the end of Safar, and he reached Medina in the for the first week of Rabiul Awwal. So just a few months after this incident, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam migrated. That marked calendar 1 in the Islamic history. That marked a change from Islam being oppressed and persecuted to Islam being powerful and a source of justice, spreading justice to the entire Arabia, and soon to much of the world. All right, so that's all for today. It's nothing to do with Hajj, just an interesting historical incident that took place in Mina in the last night of Hajj, 1,447 years ago.